That was an all too common Bungles L. What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp for Common Bengals W. It is November 23rd, 2025. The Cincinnati Bengals just lost to the team with the best record in the NFL, the New England Patriots, and it came down to the wire. And this is one I cannot put completely on the Cincinnati Bengals. And they gave up 26 points. Their defense gave up 19 points. The week after, their defense gave up, I think, 20 points. If the Cincinnati Bengals defense can give up 19 or 20 points in a game, you should believe that the Cincinnati Bengals should be able to win that game. But alas, they lost 26-20. There's blame to go around for the officials. There's blame to go around on that defense in the second half, which had just an incredible start to the game and imploded in the second quarter. There's blame to be given to Zach Taylor as well. But let's go ahead and get into it. First off, ahead of this game, Ja'Marr Chase suspended by the NFL after footage emerged of him spitting on Jalen Ramsey last week. Can't say that I blame Jalen Ramsey for going off about that, seeing that. You just don't spit on somebody. But let's talk about what really drove me nuts that I saw from fans. There was a reporter from a local Cincinnati station that posted the video as if it was the only video or anything, as if it was the determining video that got Ja'Marr Chase suspended. It said, "Oh, he's an op. He's an op." I understand that maybe I view this differently than most people because I'm a reporter in my day job. And anytime I report something negative about one company, people say that I'm on the payroll of its rival company. And it's one of the dumbest ass things I've ever seen. But these reporters do not work for the Bengals. I see it all the time with Kelsey Conway. She's an op. She's a Ravens fan. And my reply is, who gives a shit? I don't care. I don't care if the beat writers are Kansas City Chiefs fans. I don't care if the beat writers run a website called the Cincinnati Bengals Suck Forever and Always.com. Don't care. There's room for everything in media. These people are hired as beat writers, not as cheerleaders, not as crisis management team members, not as PR. It's not their job. Ja'Marr Chase did something that was a bad idea. And it worked in the moment, getting Jalen Ramsey kicked out of the game. But it didn't work long term because Ja'Marr Chase, being a part of this team today, very well could have been the tipping point of which gave the Cincinnati Bengals the win. Because late in the game, we saw T. Higgins go down. They didn't have him to throw to on that last drive. Ja'Marr Chase would have been very useful to have on that drive. It would have been very nice to not have Charlie Jones, Andre Yoshivas, and Mitchell Tinsley out there. Ja'Marr Chase made that decision, and it was a very bad decision. And if you are one of those dopes that were like, oh my God, that reporters and up, you got to take up for your team and get the hell out of here. Get the hell out of here. If you are watching live, please leave a thumbs up on YouTube. I am at Common Bengals W on YouTube and also on Twitter, X, whatever that may be. I am going to retweet the stream from my main account at Sean Ross Sapp. We hope that you guys will check us out and just see what Common Bengals W has to offer. I am a fan who just likes talking about Bengals. Anything I have an interest in, generally I find a way to talk about it. So by God, here we are talking about the Cincinnati Bengals and a position they should have had to win today. If Ja'Marr Chase is playing in this game, I think the Cincinnati Bengals win. If Zach Taylor would have went for it on 4th and 1, with about, I think it was like 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter, instead of taking that delay of game to punt, I think the Cincinnati Bengals would have won. Or at the very, very least, they would have had more time on the clock to win later. Instead, he played coward ball. This offense has been very good. Chase Brown has continued to shut me up. First couple of weeks of the season, he sucked. Even though the line wasn't good, he was bad, and he has changed things. 107 yards today, 5.6 per carry. We got a couple of carries from Taj Brooks. I would like to see more. But Chase Brown also had 2 receptions, 23 yards. That's good news. That's really good. Joe Flacco got sacked 1 time today. That's really good news. Joe Flacco has been sacked, I think, an average of like 2 times a game during his run in Cincinnati, and he is better at that than Joe Burrow is. Joe Burrow extends plays instead of throws the ball away. And Joe Burrow was very close to being cleared to play today. He was a full participant in practice on Wednesday, then limited later on, and they made the decision this weekend to not play him, but he looks like he will be playing on Thursday. So let's talk about that before the game. I see so much faux concern over Joe Burrow. I see fans, and it really disappoints me. That just wants the Bengals to lose out and tank. And listen, the Bengals aren't making the playoffs. They're not. They're not going to have a winning season. They're not going to magically get to 9-8. It's not going to happen. But I want to know where the Cincinnati Bengals fans embrace this loser culture that Mike Brown and that family want you to embrace so bad. They want you to be like, nah, it's okay. We'll just lose that. We don't even have to try for the rest of the year. These players aren't trying to tank. And if they are, if you have anybody that's willing to participate in a tank, I don't want them on my favorite team. I don't want them as a part of my favorite team. Get them away. Joe Burrow is not a loser. Joe Burrow wants to continue to win games. Joe Burrow wants to go out there and try to develop some chemistry with Mitchell Tinsley. Joe Burrow wants to go out there and earn his $50 million per year that he's making. Joe Burrow wants to lead that locker room by example and show, yeah, what Joe Flacco did, it's nice, but what I can do is better. Now, I'm sure Joe Burrow has been learning some things from Joe Flacco, but there is a lot I hope that Joe Burrow takes from this. Under center opens up more opportunities. 1, to protect yourself. 2, to open up the run game. 3, to open up your options offensively that hadn't been when you were just going out of shotgun. Doing what Joe Flacco did, going under center as often as he was, doing play action, things like that, were really changing the game for the Cincinnati Bengals and opening up that offensive playbook, and does show you, okay, maybe the world was a little hard on Zach Taylor as an offensive play caller. Now, that doesn't get him off the hook for that 4th and 1 late in the game, but I am over the faux concern. And my friend, he says, if I see Joe Burrow on Thursday, I'll never root for the Bengals again. It's self-sabotage. He's playing, buddy. He's going to play. Look at the standings right now. I encourage you, go look at the NFL standings. There are about 20 teams that even if the Bengals win out, they are not catching up to. Like 20 of them. The Bengals are getting a top 10 pick no matter what. The Bengals are not going to get a top 2 or 3 pick. The Bengals are going to be between 4 and 10 no matter what. 4 and 10. If you can't make a satisfying pick between 4 and 10 that's going to help your team, leave the business, leave the NFL, find something else to do, right? Like, our team has drafted so horribly and managed things so poorly that, like, that's what's cost the team so much. I mean, I launched this show in late 2022, I think, right? And, man, I remember begging for veteran DBs. You can go back on my Common Bengals W tweets and find like 12 of them. I said, guys, please get a veteran DB. I know you all spent a lot of money, or not a lot of money, a lot of draft picks on these guys. But need a veteran presence in there. Well, had the Bengals signed Stephon Gilmore last year, they would have made the playoffs. One play kept the Bengals out of the playoffs. That happened the year before, too. 9-8, they would have been 10-7. They make the playoffs. One veteran DB compared to these inexperienced, out-of-position DBs. Dax Hill had 3 penalties on 2 crucial situations and fortunately got bailed out by a goal line stand. Dax Hill looked like a serviceable safety at one point. He looked completely out of place today. Cam Taylor-Britt has probably played his last snap as a Cincinnati Bengal. Geno Stone only shows up after week 11. I posted these stats on the Common Bengals W Twitter, but it's like before week 11 or week 12, it was Geno Stone has, I think, 2 picks and 4 pass deflections over 21 games, ahead of like week 12 in the NFL season as a Bengal. After week 12, 6 games, 4 pass deflections, 4 interceptions. He had a great pick 6 today, and it happened on one of the worst throws of Drake May's career, which when Geno Stone got signed, I looked at his picks. He had 7 that year, and I was like, oh my God, 7 picks as a safety. That's impressive. And I looked at it and I go, oh, okay. He had right place, right time for a lot of that, which is good positionally, right? But they needed a veteran presence and have needed one. Letting Jesse Bates go was the single most inept move the Cincinnati Bengals made, because had they signed him and extended him for the amount that he wanted, then got Chase and Higgins as early as they could have, they would be paying maybe $1 million to $3 million more than they are now. Brad says, what other platforms are you on right now? Right now, I am streaming on my Sean Ross Sapp Facebook. I am on the Fightful Twitch. I am on my Twitter and the Common Bengals W Twitter, in addition to our Common Bengals W YouTube. But Joe Burrow's coming back, guys. Joe Burrow is not going to sit out the rest of the season, and he shouldn't either. And if he does, and he's 100%, the NFL should take action, just like the NBA does. Absolutely should take action. I don't want to cultivate an NFL where healthy players sit out to tank a season. I don't want that, because the Bengals can't draft anyway. So what do I give a shit if they draft 4th or 10th? Right? This is likely the end of the Joe Flacco era, and he had a nice charge towards the end of this game. He ended up having like 4 picks over his 5 or 6 games, whatever that might be. Had a touchdown today. He avoided sacks, which did show the offensive line can perform effectively, which is promising. Although last year's the last year on, or next year's the last year on Orlando Brown's contract. Mims is there. Fairchild is there. They look solid. Ted Karras doesn't look completely washed. Jalen Rivers, he's going to need some work. Dalton Reisner is a guy you want to bring back next year if you're the Cincinnati Bengals. And they've still got some patching up to do on that offensive line, but it looks like in a couple spots things are looking better. You do need to draft a center next year. Mike Gesicki, I thought he had played his last snap as a Bengal. Glad to see I was wrong about that. He did have the option to have surgery on his pec, and he didn't do that. He looked great today. He looked incredible. Where Jamar Chase was down, Mike Gesicki stepped up and worked in that slot role an awful lot and caught 4 passes. Yoshi Voss stepped up, had 4 catches. T. Higgins, unfortunately, got injured, and King of the North says, wish that sending T. Higgins good vibes. I'd like the Bengals to be ass at full wide receiver room strength. Well, let's talk about that as well. Jermain Burton, the Bengals' 3rd round pick last year. A bonus 3rd round pick at that. Couldn't get activated with Jamar Chase out. And I saw people say, free Jermain Burton. I was like, free Jermain Burton? Did you see what kind of year he had last year? He was skipping practice and showing up in pajamas and throwing a fit over not getting his number, and there were some allegations on him. Free Jermain Burton? What are you talking about? But At this point, I want to see if he's got it or not. Period. Season's practically over. Play this man. If he shows some glimpses of something, great, you got a guy. If he shows nothing, all right, you know. If he shows something and you don't even like him, trade him. Get a fifth, 6th, 7th round pick out of him. Something. But utilize him in some capacity. Joe Flacco did good. I am glad that the Cincinnati Bengals traded for Joe Flacco earlier this year. They won one game with him, but they were in a number of games. He looked like he dislocated a finger on his throwing hand, came back in, and threw a bomb touchdown to Mitch Tinsley, who I think the world of as well. The one sack he took did keep the Bengals out of field goal range, and that did loom huge. That was one of those moments you can look at and go, that's one of them. Honeymoon period is over with Joe Flacco. He was solid today. Wasn't good, wasn't bad. He was solid. Threw one of the worst picks of his career, a pick 6. Again, you could look at that and say, that's what did it. Jake Browning stepped in and got a snap, got one completion, one attempt, and completed a pass for 14 yards. That was nice to see. That was really nice to see. But it was not good. Was not good. Now, the Cincinnati Bengals had their best defensive first quarter of the year. That's about all you'll get from them, because then after that, they're giving up 19 points over 3 quarters, and that isn't what you want. If you give up 19 points over 3 quarters, you're probably not going to win. You're not. If you give 19 points up over the game, sure. But you got to factor in that terrible pick as well. This is the worst third down team I've ever seen. I know nothing about the X's and O's of football. I think I've been pretty clear about that. I don't know about schemes. I don't know about anything. But I know when it's backed up, they're backed up to the 10, and it's 3rd and 11, 3rd and 12, even 3rd and 10. I know what every defense is doing to the Cincinnati Bengals. They are throwing it out over the middle, following a route from a tight end or a slot receiver. It happens every time, and the Bengals fall for it every time. What does it say? That the Cincinnati Bengals, with, again, one of the worst pass rushes in the NFL, the one guy that landed a sack was a corner that came up off the practice squad. A 29-year-old corner fresh off the practice squad. It sucks, man. Jalen Davis, good for him. Bengals can't defend tight ends. Dax Hill got just abused. But let's talk about the positive. There was a very impressive goal line stand in this game that showed so much promise. It was so nice to see. 9 minutes long was this goal line stand. And I mean from like 2:54 Eastern to 3:03 Eastern. Like between all the timeouts and the reviews and the pass interference and all that stuff. I mean, Dax Hill was trying to will them across the goal line, will the other team across the goal line. And they had a very impressive goal line stand. And you can't ask for more of that. What I can't accept is coward coaching from Zach Taylor. 4th and 1 in the 4th quarter, like midfield, and you punt it. I'm so tired of, you got to trust your defense in that situation type of shit. I'm so sick of it. You can't trust your defense. And I say that as someone who has been more complimentary of this defense over the last 2 weeks, because when you've got the offense the Bengals have and your defense gives up 20 points and 19 points respectively, you cannot allow your offense to then put points on the board for the other team. Let's talk about some other positives. Special teams, outside of the penalty that got the incredible Charlie Jones return called back, which there was some snagging on the jersey, so I got no problem with that. Charlie Jones is one of the best return men in the NFL. I saw somebody with the balls to tweet, can't wait until the Charlie Jones era is over. And I'm like, do you not remember when Trent Taylor would do everything but run forward? He would spin, he would hop, he would jump, he would run around, he would cartwheel, he would spin his tires and all that stuff. It always looked like he was running on wet ground. Charlie Jones does everything he can to put the Bengals in a position to make a big play off of a special team situation. And Evan McPherson is that dude again. Last year, I was like, do we got to have an Evan McPherson conversation? I was very much where I was with Chase Brown after the first 2 or 3 weeks of this season. And both of those guys have completely shut me up and made me go, okay, maybe there's a little bit more, right? Because Evan McPherson, 26 years old, looks like he's going to be the kicker for the Cincinnati Bengals for the next decade. Last year, he missed 6 field goals in only 12 games, by the way. Missed an extra point. He was not doing too hot, right? He's got 3 misses this year. The first one was from an NFL record length that he made. Then they iced him. Didn't make it the second time. Bummer. The second one was into crazy wind, and even the announcers were like, this is going to be really tough. The third one is because of our inept-ass coaching staff that didn't make sure that the right kicking balls were out there, as they now have that option. Those are all perfectly reasonable misses for Evan McPherson. Last year, I don't know that there was one that I looked at and I was like, that's, he probably should have made, most of those. He doesn't miss like really close or anything like that. Like he's usually pretty good from there. But when you get to like 40, 49, and 50 plus, it had been tough for him last year. He missed like 4 really deep ones. He missed 5 really deep ones the year before. And then today, he just yacked a 63-yarder. Had never hit one beyond 59. His longest this year was 50. And he just uncorked a 63-yard field goal that was not particularly close. Good on Evan McPherson. Also, somebody says he's an adequate kicker. No, he is a good kicker this year. He is an exceptional kicker this year. He is doing his job. He is on kickoffs, got a 12.2% touchback rate at that. He's doing very good. He's excellent. Also, again, to own up to my criticism of Chase Brown earlier in the year, he's been fantastic. You don't see Bengals fans right now asking, oh, what about, man, we really should have got Joe Mixon. We should have kept that Joe Mixon and paid him all that money. No, they shouldn't have. Chase Brown was the right move. Cyclops says Bengals Reddit was treating Chase as if he's innocent and being crucified. Buddy, listen, don't even get me started on Reddit. Reddit is filled with the most misinformation of anywhere this side of Facebook that I've seen. I go there to try to clear up stuff for my wrestling thing, and it is just the most abusive, horrific garbage there. And there are plenty of lovely people there, but nowhere to be seen when people are making weird claims there. Throwback, it is great to see you, my friend. Great to see you. Fire Zach Taylor says Charles for being a coward, but also the linebackers are awful. They are. And also tight end spam all day by the Patriots. Yep. Bengals cannot cover the Patriots at all. So let's talk about that last run, because the Cincinnati Bengals, I'm not going to say they should have won this game. They should have been in position to win the game. There were 3 plays, 2 of which I found egregious, and none of them were called as penalties. And you can go back and rewatch them. Tanner Hudson over the middle. He comes up, and a guy literally has him by the face mask. There is no call there. Clock keeps rolling. Mitchell Tinsley along the sideline. Corner made a great play, but played through his back. That one's borderline. I can give him that one. Last play of the game, Mike Gesicki clearly gets the jersey yanked. That should have been 2 stops of the clock. That should have been 2 2 penalties, and the Bengals should have been in position to win this game. That's a hard one to stomach, man. It is a hard one to stomach knowing that the Cincinnati Bengals, if they had anything better than the worst statistical defense in NFL history, there's 2 wins. And that if they would have gotten an opportunity to play at the goal line there off those very clear penalties, possibly 3 more wins. If you were the Cincinnati Bengals, you have got to start looking back at last year's Ravens game. You've got to start looking back at last year's Chiefs game. You've got to start looking back at the Chiefs playoff game where they beat you in the AFC Championship and even the Super Bowl and realize you are the Cincinnati Bengals. You are not getting those calls. You can never rely on those calls. It ain't going to happen. It was a running joke last year. Joe Burrow got like 4 face masks ignored. You're not getting those calls. If you're the Bengals, it's not happening. King of the North says they waited so long to save Chase. They could have saved at least $3 million off him alone. Yeah, a ton. Brad says, I didn't know you covered football as big of a fan as I am of you. Well, hey, now you know, my friend. Now you know. Charles, I think they need to keep Hudson and Sample as blocking unless you want Fant doing that. My friend said Scadaboo was in wrestling on Monday night. How wasn't his foot a yard away from his body when it? Yeah, buddy, I was shocked to see it 3 weeks from that. 3 weeks, couldn't believe it. Shouldn't that mean Joe Burrow could be back for his toe? He'll be back. He'll play Thursday, I think. Oh, Cincinnati Bengals, man, they're ass. They're absolute ass. But I'm still here every week. I mentioned this before. I am ashamed of myself. Not for anything I've ever done in my wrestling career, wrestling coverage career. But football last year, after that Ravens live stream I did for DraftKings, I gave up. And I stopped streaming. And I'm just not going to do that anymore. I enjoy it too much. And even in situations like this, I love it too much. Let's take a look around the league right now. See how things are going. Check the scoreboard. As we stand, the Browns during Shadur Sanders' first start, 14-0 over the Raiders. The Bears beat the Steelers. Listen, this is another indication of how wide open this division was, man. That's how disappointing it is. The Bengals realistically should be right up there with the Ravens and the Steelers. And they're not. They're just not, man. Oh, well, Shadur's 4 for 7. No touchdowns and a pick. All right. It's Quinshawn Judkins that's doing all the work there, I guess. Oh, no. It looks like he hit a bomb to Isaiah Bond. All right. All right, then. Oh, guys, I'm back here Thanksgiving night. Good and late Thursday night. So doing the family Thanksgiving Thursday. Coming home, watching Thursday night football. Getting up bright and early. Flying out to Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I'm actually flying out to Charlotte and driving to Winston-Salem, North Carolina. If you're a wrestling fan and you're at WrestleCade, please say hi to me. There are a few things I love more than getting to meet you guys, especially those of you that not only support what we do at Fightful, but tolerate my pro football rants as well. So, yeah. I appreciate you all so much. Give me some ideas in the comments about what it is you want to see in the off season. Like what kind of shows you want to see in the early off season. Follow me at Common Bengals W on Twitter and at YouTube. Check out our short section. If you are a wrestling fan, I've got content up with Baron Corbin, with Johnny Gargano, Vic Joseph, Tommaso Ciampa, Lord Crew, all kinds of stuff like that. Until next time, my friends, we're out.